You ever get that notification from your bank, see your paycheck has landed, and then that sinking feeling? You look at the number and just think, wait a second, where did the rest of my money go? It is a super frustrating moment, and you're not alone. So today, we are going to solve that mystery. We're going to figure out exactly what's happening to your cash between the hours you put in and the dollars you actually get to keep. This is the question, right? It's at the very heart of it all. It's that huge gap between what you think you earn per hour and what you can actually spend. So let's break down that journey your money takes before it ever even gets to you. All right, to get started, you gotta know the two most important numbers on any pay stub: gross pay and net pay. Seriously, understanding the difference between these two is step one to cracking the code. So what's the deal with these two? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Gross pay is that big, happy number, your total earnings before anyone takes a single penny out. So if you work 40 hours at $20 an hour, that's your $800. But then there's net pay. That's your take-home pay. It's the amount that actually lands in your bank account. And spoiler alert, it's always smaller. The whole story of your paycheck is just figuring out what happens in between these two numbers. Okay, so let's play detective. It's time to get into the deductions. These are all the little culprits responsible for turning your big gross pay into your, well, slightly less big net pay. Let's start with the deductions that absolutely no one could avoid. These are taken out automatically by law, so it's probably a good idea to know exactly what they are and what they're for. I love this way of thinking about it. It's perfect for the first big one: federal income tax. The exact amount is going to depend on your income and what you put on your W-4 form, but you can always count on a slice being taken out. And hey, depending on where you live, you'll probably see a deduction for state income tax too. After income taxes, we've got another set of mandatory deductions called FICA taxes. Now, this isn't just one thing, it's actually a bundle of two very specific taxes: Social Security and Medicare. First up in the FICA bundle is Social Security. This one's a flat 6.2% tax on your gross pay. So, what's this money for? It's specifically for funding the retirement benefits of today's seniors. The whole idea is that future generations will then pay for yours. So on our $800 example paycheck, that 6.2% comes out to exactly $49.60. The second part of FICA is the Medicare tax, and this one comes in at a flat rate of 1.45%. And this tax has one job: funding healthcare for retirees through the Medicare program. Let's do the math on our example again. 1.45% of $800 is $11.60. See how these small percentages are really starting to add up? Okay, so we've gotten through all the mandatory taxes. Now let's talk about the deductions that are based on your own choices. These are usually for benefits and savings that you've opted into at your job. You'll probably see some of these on your pay stub, things like health insurance or a 401k retirement plan. Now, a lot of these are what we call pre-tax deductions, which is a huge benefit for you. It literally means the money is taken out before your income gets taxed, which can actually lower the amount of tax you owe. It's a win-win. And this is just a fantastic way to think about retirement savings. When you put money into a 401k, you're basically paying your future self first. That money gets tucked away before you even have a chance to spend it. And believe me, your future self is going to be very, very grateful. Okay, deep breath. We've looked at the mandatory taxes, we've looked at the optional deductions. Now let's put it all together and see exactly how our example paycheck goes from that big gross number to the final net amount. This table really puts it all into focus, doesn't it? Okay, let's follow the money. We start with that nice $800 gross pay. Then, one by one, we subtract everything we talked about: federal and state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, a little for health insurance, and some for retirement savings. The total damage? A whopping $241.20 in deductions. And that leaves you with your net pay, $558.80. And there it is, mystery solved. This chart gives you such a great visual of where every single dollar from that $800 gross pay actually went. The biggest slice, of course, is your net pay. That's what you get to keep. But now you can see clear as day the size of the other pieces. That big chunk for taxes, the smaller FICA slice, and the part you chose to go to your own benefits and savings. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? Why is it so important to know where every dollar is going? Well, it matters because you can't build a realistic budget with your gross pay. You have to use your net pay. That's the real number. Understanding this lets you create a financial plan that actually works, and honestly, it just gives you peace of mind because you're finally in control of your money. When it comes down to it, this is probably the best way to think of your paycheck. It's like a group chat, and before you even get a chance to say anything, the IRS, the state, Social Security, they've all taken their share. Your job is just to know exactly who is in that chat and why they're there. So I'll leave you with this. Go take a look at your own pay stub. Now that you know who's in your paycheck's group chat, are they all supposed to be there? Are those deductions correct? Answering those questions for yourself is the first step to truly owning your financial future.
Hello and welcome. Today, we are going to tackle one of the most common, but let's be honest, confusing documents out there, the paycheck stub. Our mission is to turn all that confusion into confidence. So, let's just dive right in.
Oh yeah, haven't we all been there? You see that big, exciting top-line number, your salary, and then you see what actually hits your bank account, and you're just like, wait a second. It's a totally universal feeling, and in this explainer, we're going to trace every single dollar so you know exactly where it goes. And to make this super clear, we're going to follow a single paycheck from start to finish. So let's just imagine our gross pay for this pay period is exactly $800. This is our starting line.
Think of your money going on a little journey every pay period. It's really just 3 simple steps. It starts as gross pay, takes a few detours we'll call deductions, and then it finally reaches its destination, your net pay. And that's the exact roadmap we'll be following today.
Okay, first stop, gross pay. Before any money gets taken out, we have to understand the total amount we've actually earned. So gross pay is that big number you usually see at the very top of your pay stub. It's literally every dollar you earned for your hard work during that period, before the government or anyone else takes their cut. And that number isn't just pulled out of thin air, right? It's a mix of your regular hours, maybe some overtime you put in, or even a bonus or some sick pay. Now, this brings me to a really crucial point. You've got to check this section every time. Seriously, make sure your hours and your pay rate are correct. Payroll mistakes can happen, and you're the first line of defense to catch them. All right, so we've got our starting amount. Now, let's talk about the first and, the biggest category of deductions, taxes. You can think of these as the mandatory, non-negotiable detours on your money's journey. So here's a bird's eye view of what's happening. Out of our $800, you can see taxes and benefits are going to take a pretty big slice of the pie. That leaves the biggest piece for us, for sure, but it's definitely not the whole thing. Now let's break down what's in those other slices.
On your pay stub, you're going to see a few different lines for taxes. You've got your federal income tax, which is based on the choices you made on your W-4 form. Then there's state income tax, but only if you live in a state that has one. And finally, you have the 2 FICA taxes, Social Security and Medicare.
You know, what's interesting here is just how straightforward FICA taxes are. Unlike other taxes, these are just a flat percentage of your gross pay. It's 6.2% for Social Security and 1.45% for Medicare. The math is right there on the screen. For our $800, that comes out to exactly $49.60 and $11.60. No real mystery there, just simple math. Okay, on to the next set of deductions. Now, these aren't mandatory taxes. Nope. These are the optional paths based on choices you get to make for things like your health insurance or saving for retirement. All right, pay attention because this is a really important concept. Some of your deductions are pre-tax. Think health insurance or a traditional 401k. They get taken out before your income tax is calculated. Why does that matter? Because it lowers the amount of income you're taxed on. Then you have post-tax deductions, like a Roth 401k, that come out after taxes. That timing makes a huge difference. And that's really the secret power here. When you use pre-tax deductions, you're actively shrinking the amount of income that the government can tax you on right now. And that can actually mean more money in your pocket each payday. So, we've covered the starting point and all those detours along the way. Now it is time to arrive at the final destination. This is the number that really matters for your budget, your net pay. The formula couldn't be simpler, really. Your net pay is just your gross pay minus the grand total of all those deductions, taxes, benefits, retirement, the whole shebang. This is what you actually get to take home. So let's put it all together now.
Our journey started at $800 gross. After those mandatory tax detours of about $161 and the optional benefit paths of $95, we finally arrive at our destination, the net pay.
And there it is, $543.80. This is the destination of our money's journey. This is the actual cash that shows up in your bank account, ready for you to spend, save, or invest.
You know, understanding your paycheck is a huge first step, but the next step is taking control. So let's wrap this all up with a quick little traveler's guide to help you manage your pay.
Here's a super simple checklist you can use every single time you get paid. It honestly takes less than 2 minutes. Confirm your info, verify your hours, glance at every deduction, and make sure that final net pay number matches your bank deposit. This one simple habit could save you from some really costly errors down the road.
And don't forget, you're in the driver's seat for a lot of this. You can actually change how much federal tax is held back just by updating your W-4. You can bump up your retirement savings, and if you ever find a mistake, tell your HR or payroll department right away. Finally, if there is only one thing you take away from all this, please let it be this. Always build your monthly budget based on your net pay. Plan your finances with the money you actually have, not the money you wish you had.
And with that, you are now totally equipped to decode your paycheck with confidence. But all this new knowledge leaves us with one last question to chew on. You're now an expert on your net pay, but do you know your total compensation? That includes all the valuable stuff your employer contributes, like a 401k match that doesn't even show up on your stub. But that's a story for another explainer.